During application, you must follow the second commandment and always keep the stain mixed from the bottom to the top. Do this by stirring the stain with the applicator in an agitating motion, such as a washing machine would. Make sure all the pigment is mixed and not in the applicator. Stain the joints and edges with a bristle brush. Remember to stir the stain before dipping your brush. Notice how you start staining before you reach the edge. This allows you to not have large amounts of stain puddle in the corners or along the edge. After agitating the stain, spread the stain onto the concrete. Do not apply pressure. Rather, let the applicator do the work. Spread the stain as far as it can go. We recommend moving in circular strokes and in different directions to spread the stain evenly. A little goes a long way. As a tip, try to stain in squares so you achieve maximum coverage. This will really help on the second coat. Also note, you do not need to keep a wet edge with a solid color stain. Stretch the stain as far as it goes. Less is better. Once the product begins to dry, usually within minutes, it will look somewhat blotchy. You'll need to follow the third commandment and rebroom the product as it dries. Do this with the same applicator, but make sure the applicator is only slightly moist. It is necessary to walk on the wet stain in order to do this. Weather and temperature will determine how soon you will need to rebroom the stain. Don't let the stain puddle. If it does, it will discolor as it dries. Remember, don't be afraid to walk back onto the product as long as it's still wet. You'll be able to broom out all your footprints. Tip: if you need to walk back onto the area that has already dried in order to rebroom another area, wet the dried area with stain and broom your footprints out as you walk back. Rebroom the entire section joint to joint to ensure the product is spread evenly and that it has not puddled. Don't forget to rebroom the edges. Also, there is no need to worry about overlap or brush marks. The second coat will ensure even penetration and color uniformity. Note, in colder weather, the stain will take longer to dry and may need more time in between rebrooming. And no, you cannot broom too much. In most cases, you will need to rebroom the stain more than once. As a tip, if the stain does not change color as you rebroom it, that is a sign that it is almost done drying and will not likely need to be rebroomed again. Make sure you rebroom the entire surface. Do not leave slivers or stain unbroomed. Think of it as mowing your lawn or painting a wall. You need to reach every section and corner. If you leave a corner or section unbroomed, it will dry a different color. If this does happen, all you need to do is apply another application of stain. Notice how some sections are not changing color. This is an indication that we will most likely not have to rebroom again. However, you cannot rebroom too much. You may notice blotchy or lightly stained areas after the first application. That is why you apply a second application. It will give uniformity and depth to the stain. The second application will be applied as soon as the first coat is dry. Use the wet test to determine if the surface is dry enough. Perform a wet test on different areas on the concrete to see if it is ready to accept the second application. A wet test is simply scrubbing a damp rag on the surface to see if the stain will soften. It is recommended that you test multiple areas of the surface to ensure that all areas are dry and ready for the next step. As a tip, you may use fans or a leaf blower to speed up the drying process. Make sure the stain is dry to the touch and not tacky before walking on it after it has dried some. Now that the first application is dry, you are ready to apply the second. Apply Apply the second application just like the first. However, keep in mind that it will usually spread twice as far as the first. Don't forget to always agitate the stain on the bottom of the bucket every time you dip the applicator. If the second application is applied too soon, it will re-emulsify the first application and it will not cover or stain evenly, and will look as though you only applied one application. This is a common mistake. It is better to wait and do the job right than to try and rush it, even if it means applying the second coat the next day. This is an example of using a large 18-inch applicator to re-broom the stain. This can speed up the job considerably. Now that the solid color is dried, check out the enhancer section of this video to see how we antique this surface. New Look does not recommend sealing due to the sealing elements that are already built into the product. Sealing will limit in applying any maintenance or different color applications in the future. However, it is possible to apply any sealer on top of any of New Look's concrete products. Just keep in mind you are at the mercy of how that sealer performs and the consequences if it does not. On interior floors, we recommend using New Look's Clear 32 as a finish coat for extra protection, or you may use a wax as a sacrificial layer. Please feel free to contact New Look for more information about using sealers.